So as I've indicated, that next we'll be in conversation with the African Transformation Movement. We told that the president of the ATM is currently in a meeting with the lawyers and probably get an explanation from Mzwanele Manyi, who's the head of policy and strategy, around that particular meeting and what the intention of that meeting is, considering that you have the Speaker of Parliament yesterday that denied the ATM the application to have the motion of no confidence in President Cyril Ramaphosa being done through a secret ballot. So that debate happens tomorrow. We're also taking your calls on 061-987-000, your tweets at Aldrin St. Pierre, #Power Talk, and also you can tweet at PowerFM 987. Mr. Manyi, good morning and welcome to Power Talk.
Good morning, Aldrin, and good morning to the rest of your listeners.
Okay, can you just quickly give us an indication where the ATM stands currently on the position that has been taken by the Speaker of Parliament?
Yeah, no, the ATM is very very unhappy with the position by the Speaker, because we don't think it's a principled position. We don't think it's a position that is supported by the directive actually of the Concord. You must remember that the Concord was very clear about the circumstances that must prevail before the secret ballot can be applicable. And we have made a case to the Speaker that actually those conditions are actually in abundance. I mean, there are two key things there. One is the issue of what the Concord called toxicity, and the issue of charged environment. And we think that is there. And I think anybody in South Africa that still doubts that our politics are toxic, that person is probably not living in this country. And anybody that thinks that there's no charged political environment, I mean, only as recent as yesterday, we saw an altercation between Batabile Dlamini and Pravin Gordhan, one calling the other an imbecile. These are people that are very senior within the ANC. Now, to think that those people, and we know that they're in different camps, to think that those people will vote in the same way and all of that, it's ludicrous. And if you think also on what happened in Bloemfontein, where the T-shirt bearing the face of President Ramaphosa was burned, that must be clear that the environment is politically charged. Now, those people that represent the banners are actually, some of them are in Parliament. So to think that those people are in the same, in unison with the rest of the others is ludicrous. So why is the Speaker turning a blind eye on realities that are plaguing our politics? So we're saying the members of Parliament must be given an opportunity to exercise their constitutional obligation to vote with their conscience, to put South Africa first, to put the Constitution first, and not to prioritize party issues, because all of this, strictly speaking, is really about trying to preserve the unity of the ANC, which has got nothing to do with the interests of the country. We are interested here about South Africa. This constitution of this country is about ensuring that South Africa is where it should be. It's not about what is in the interest of the ANC. This is the problem.
Okay. So from, I don't know if the party has had, this is now the ATM, has had any conversation with the ANC members at all, who have also articulated that view that you put to the fore now, that the environment is politically charged, that it is toxic as well. Has anyone from the ANC camp, this is now the caucus, MPs, portrayed that or told the ATM about that?
No. What our approach as ATM is to drive a very principled approach. Our discussions and our articulations are public. What I'm saying here now, I'm saying it publicly, and the ANC members are listening, and the DA members are listening. Everybody's listening. So we're not having some secret meetings in some smoky rooms and all of and whatever. All we're doing here is to give factual position, so that when members are facing a ballot box, they are able to do that with a clear conscience. That's all we're doing. We don't have private meetings, as it were.
So there's no ANC member that has come to the ATM and said that we feel that the environment is politically charged. It's just a conclusion that you have drawn based on the facts that you've just pointed out, including one calling the other one an imbecile and what happened outside the Free State Magistrates Court.
And this is just top of the. This is just what I just illustrated to you. Is really just it's just the top of the icing, top of the cake. I can give you a whole list of examples. I mean, for instance, if you can look at what is happening with MKMVA, there's a group that is pro-MKMVA. There's a group within the ANC that is anti-MKMVA. There's a whole, I mean, that organization is highly fractured, as it were. Anybody that denies that is somebody that is just afraid of the truth. And you don't have to have any meeting with anyone. You just have to go on your Twitter and see what's happening. Just have to look at what's happening in the public space. You will see this. When President Mbeki was in UNISA there, he made all kinds of aspersions to the other group of the ANC members. So all the high-powered ANC people, the Msimangos of this world, they are articulating views and positions that antagonize the others, as it were. So in Parliament, you continue to have people that represent people with those different interests within the ANC. I think what is actually happening is that the big church syndrome of the ANC is actually coming home to roost. That people are now stuck on their particular ideological positions on the continuum, so they're not able to reconcile. Now, to then go and say in Parliament that those people must just vote like cattle, no thinking involved, is unfair to those consciences of those people, because they could be sitting there and saying, this man, I mean, it's public knowledge that some of the ANC members are accusing Ramaphosa of not implementing the ANC resolutions. I don't need to have any secret meeting for anybody to know this. They say this publicly. So we know, sitting where we're sitting, that not all is well in there, and therefore to go to Parliament and say those people must pretend that it's all honky-dory. It's actually being dishonest with the people of South Africa, is being dishonest with democracy. Yep. We cannot allow the Speaker to do this.
Okay, so just listening to you and articulating some of these points, you continuously make reference to the ANC and the instability in the party and the lack of so-called unity within the party itself. Does this then mean, and this goes to the point that Arnau raises on Twitter, he says that did Mzwanele just subtly tell you that they are counting on ACE and Batabile's likes for votes? Does that fuel the issue of the ATM being an ACE and Jacob Zuma branch? Because the reference that's constantly being made is around some members of the ANC themselves not being happy with the president.
Yeah, I'm happy you raised that. I think the first point to be made is that anybody in South Africa that can speak politics and not have ANC as part of that mix, that person is living in the clouds. ANC is a central part of politics. We are opposition parties. Who are we opposing? We're opposing the ANC. So anybody that doesn't understand politics, for us as the ATM, we will not apologize for making any reference to the ANC, because our duty is to hold them to account. So in holding them to account, we have to talk about them. I think the issue is broader than just the ANC, but the ANC is a big part of it, and we're not going to run away or shy away from that. But beyond the ANC, we also have in Parliament, just to show the toxicity of the situation, in Parliament we have other two members of another different political party who have been exposed, who have received monies from the CR17 campaign. Now you can imagine as to how many other people are beneficiaries of the CR17 campaign. Now, if those people, in their consciences, they don't really want the president, as it were, yet they know that they've been given those brown envelopes by the CR17 campaign, how are those people supposed to vote their conscience? It's impossible. They can't vote their conscience. They've got to vote the envelope, as it were. So this is not just the ANC. Even the DA, by the way, Mazoni can say whatever she wants. I sit here, I know that the DA is divided. There are people in the DA that are blaming Ramaphosa for not dealing in a manner that they think he should be dealing with the other camps within the ANC. They say he's too slow, they say he's not decisive, they say he's not implementing things, and so on and so on. There are a lot of them. So if you give them an opportunity behind closed doors to vote, they will not vote what Mazoni is saying. They will vote what is in their conscience. This is what democracy is about. Why is the Speaker not allowing this democracy to take place? By the way, it's important to also just flesh out very briefly why in the first place we are where we are. We are where we are purely because of the lack of leadership by President Ramaphosa. He is actually championing malfeasance in this government. Number one, we're sitting here, in his first year of coming into office, one would have thought that there would have been a step change on things, there would be a breath of fresh air. Instead, we're hit with the irregular expenditure ballooning by a whooping 10 billion, from 50 to about 61.35 billion rand irregular expenditure, as it were, which is very bad for a goodbye for the Auditor General. But we're sitting with that under the leadership of a person that came onto the space with a ticket of clean governance. We're sitting here with a person that is unable to contain the unemployment. When we started with our motion, the unemployment was sitting at around 30-odd%. We are now sitting on an expanded definition to something in the order of just nearly 50%. Almost half the country is unemployed. We are sitting here with a country whose debt ratio, when we started our motion, was sitting at about 60-odd% projected for 2020. Today, we are sitting with a debt to GDP ratio of something in the order of 80%. So in other words, the wealth of this country has already been mortgaged to creditors out there. It's not impossible to have creditors coming here today, pouncing on PRASA, pouncing on all our lucrative state assets because of our failure to pay, because we're not growing the economy, because the man in charge doesn't know what to do. As we sit, let me just conclude this quickly. As we sit here and now, we have the issues of the performance contracts of ministers. Up to now, those have not been signed. The term is nearing its end. The man has not signed the performance contracts of ministers. How are ministers operating without clear performance contracts?
Okay, Dr. Ramakhupa, I spoke to her last week. She said that those contracts have been signed. She said that performance agreements have been signed between the president as well as the ministers. Those just need to be made public. But then to another point, do you agree then that for this motion to be successful, it must then mean that the majority of the people in Parliament would have to be adverse to the leadership of President Cyril Ramaphosa and want another person to take over? So then in the absence of a secret ballot, your plan might just collapse.
No, in the absence of a secret ballot, what we'd have is a sham. That's what you'd have. It would be a sham because it would be voting because of particular envelope interests. It would be a complete sham, and it should not be allowed. We'd rather not have the voting at all if it was going to be open ballot, because it would be meaningless. If what you are saying is not making sense, it should be easy. Let's have secret ballot. Let ATM be exposed. Let's see if there's only going to be 2 people that are voting for this motion. Why don't we do that? If people are so convinced that what we're saying does not hold water, then it should be simple. They must just expose us. They must just take our word for it, and then go for the secret ballot. Let's see if we have only 2.
Yeah, but isn't it a shame as well when people are hiding behind the secret ballot?
No, it's not.
To make sure that I don't lose my job as a member of Parliament, I don't want to be seen to be against the president of the ANC or the president of the country. Isn't that a shame in its own as well, that this person is actually driven by self-interest?
If that is a shame, then voting in the general elections is a shame, because voting in the general elections is by secret ballot. Why is that allowed on a general election, not allowed in this particular situation? Why is that the case? It's the case because if you show your hand, there are consequences I mean, those people there, some of them, I mean, the ministers and all of that are deployments by an individual. Now, if you were to show your hand to be against that individual, tomorrow he exercises his discretion and purges you. And then that has got all kinds of hardships that you'll bring unnecessarily. So in order for you to vote, you must vote without consequences of hardship. And also we know that there are also not only just hardships in terms of livelihood, there's also political killings. These political issues are quite sensitive and they're quite dangerous. People die because they want to be a councillor. People die because of all of these things. Who knows that others are saying, no, if this one does this, just deal with him so that you can use your discretion to replace me. It's quite a sensitive thing. So it's very irresponsible to do open ballot in a situation where political killings are the order of the day. We cannot be exposing the lives of members of parliament because we are trying to put a particular political party agenda.
Okay, so then it follows that what the ATM is also doing is trying to protect the livelihoods of those individuals who may not be happy with the leadership of President Cyril Ramaphosa.
It is only when those individuals are alive that they'll be able to represent the mandate that they've been given by the people of South Africa. It is impossible for them to do that if their livelihoods are at stake or if their livelihoods are going to be dependent on envelopes. The livelihoods that they're getting is legitimate. They get their salaries and they want to work for their salaries properly, but to be in those positions, they depend on management by various parties. So therefore, they must be protected from the management of those parties so that whatever livelihood they're earning continues to be the legitimate livelihood that they're earning, and they're quite happy with that. So therefore, let's not complicate matters. Let's have a secret ballot so that there could be a lot more proper governance, there could be a lot more accountability, there could be a lot more democracy. It won't be democracy with an open ballot. There's nothing democratic about that. What that is about is really a shame, because everybody must just say we're voting, we're agreeing and all of that. But behind the scenes, people say, hey, what can I do? If I do something different, I'll be called to Lutuli House or some other house, and things can happen to me.
Okay, 0619870000. You can also tweet at Alderton Sinclair, hashtag Power Talk, and also tweet at PowerFM97. We're in conversation with Mzwanele Manyi, ATM Head of Policy. On Twitter, the Iro says that if this ATM says he is opposing the ANC, why does he want the party to remove its president and put another ANC president? We are not children here. We are not children. He's serving the ANC Nasrec losers. Mr. Manyi, your response to that?
Yeah, this person does not understand how politics in South Africa work. They vote by the vote of the president of the country. We're talking about the president of the country and not president of the ANC. Talking about the president of the country. That person is voted for by members of parliament, not by the ANC. This person doesn't understand what he's talking about. It's members of parliament that vote. It's parliament that votes. It's the 400 people that decide to become the president. Tomorrow, if this thing goes through, nominations can come from anywhere. They could even come from ATM. And people will vote on that. So he doesn't understand how things work.
No, but don't you agree that it follows that what we've also seen over the past years, since 1994, that whoever the ANC puts forward as its presidential candidate always wins and becomes president of the country, even when the vote is taking place in parliament, because of the majority that the ANC holds?
I think it's important to separate the principle versus what has happened.
Yeah.
That may very well be what has happened, but that does not rule out the fact that Bantu Olumisa could, for instance, could stand and a decision could be taken that is a unifying, for instance, a figure, for argument's sake. Somebody, President Zungula could stand, a decision could be taken to say, you know what, he might be coming from a small party, but he's got the youth that we're looking for, he's got the right politics, is not tainted in any shape or form. Maybe this is the right person to run the country.
But you would buy-in of the ANC for that to happen, right?
I beg your pardon?
You would need the buy-in from the ANC as the majority party for that to actually transpire.
You would need the buy-in from the majority of the members of parliament. I think you must disabuse yourself of this notion of political parties. This is the issue here. You know, some people are confused that ATM with only 2 seats. It's not the seats that vote. If it was seats that vote, you wouldn't even need to go to parliament, because we already know what the seats look like, who owns how many seats. There would be no point in voting if it was the issue of the seats. What votes in parliament is not the seats, it's the individuals, it's the consciences of the people. So the people must really internalize that.
Okay, let's quickly go to the power line, 061-987-000. Your tweets at Alderman Simpia, #Power Talk, and also you can tweet at Power FM 987. Mzwanele Manyi, the Executive Mayor of the city of Ekurhuleni, calling us. Good morning and welcome to Power Talk, Mayor.
Good morning and good morning to Bito. How are you?
Hey, Prof, are you good?
I'm good, my brother.
Sharp.
Look, we remain very principled. You know, this thing of voting with your conscience when the party takes you to parliament is unprincipled. I therefore call upon all members of the ANC to vote with the ANC, because we have always stood firm on this notion of people voting with their conscience. So even today, regardless of how people feel, all those 250 members were taken there by the party, the African National Congress, and President Ramaphosa is elected in the ANC and in the country by the ANC members. So to try and dissuade members or to associate them with the party, I think it's rather unfortunate for me. So I'm saying at the principal level, those members were taken by the party, and the party stance for now is that President Ramaphosa is the president of.
Yeah,
and all members of the ANC must support it.
Okay, just quickly then, do you have confidence in the president?
Yes.
You do have confidence in the president. Okay.
Yes.
So then there shouldn't be any problem at all. What the ATM is calling for, that there be a secret ballot, because if people have confidence in their president, then there shouldn't be a problem, right?
Yeah, well, I don't.
If they follow the principle, the principle that you spoke about earlier on, the principle that says that the party has taken is that the president of the country will be the president of the ANC, or the president of the ANC will be the president of the country. So if they follow that line, then a secret ballot shouldn't be a problem.
Well, I don't have a problem with secret ballot or no secret ballot. The issue I'm addressing is just a principle that you can't have any ANC member who's in parliament who would want to vote otherwise, because there has not been any process in the ANC. That is why even when it happened during the time of President Zuma, we kept on saying it is wrong to say you are taken by the party, then you invoke your own conscience, because it's not your conscience that put you in parliament. So I am still standing on that point, that as things stand, President Ramaphosa is the president of the ANC and is the president of the country. So there is no need for members of the ANC, whether secret ballot or no secret ballot, to vote otherwise, other than voting for the president.
Okay, Mr. Manyi?
Yeah, let me clarify this. I know that position, but I think it is an uninformed position for these reasons. Number one, and this is the problem when ANC members fail to draw a line between party and the state. This is the problem, because you see, this thing goes through even at the executive level. You have a situation, just as an aside, we'll get to this just now. Just as an example, you get the ANC making all kinds of resolutions in whatever conferences of the ANC. Then they expect that as a result of those resolutions, immediately whoever is the minister must implement those resolutions. Instead of taking those resolutions through all the government processes and make those resolutions government resolutions, they expect ministers to do a short-circuiting and implement that which is not government policy, which is a total flouting of governance and a total flouting of how things should be. When you are a member of parliament, regardless of who took you there, as you get into that precinct and you sign the oath of office, you don't sign the oath of office to further the aims and objectives of the ANC. You go in there to further the objectives of the Constitution of South Africa, where the word ANC does not exist. So it is important that ANC activists must understand the different areas where they operate. If you are in Luthuli House, yes, all of that is applicable. But once you are in the Union building, different rules apply. Once you are in parliament, different rules apply. That must be understood.
Okay.
And lastly, it is also important for the ANC to understand that the ANC members are arguably about 1 million or so. People that vote for the ANC are about 11 or 12 million or something to that effect. Therefore, when you are in parliament, you should not be bound by what the 1 million members have decided. You should be bound by what is in the interest of the people of South Africa. That's why you're called a public representative. You are not an ANC representative. You are a public representative. When you are a mayor, you are not an ANC mayor. You are a mayor for all the people of Ekurhuleni. That is the issue.
Go to the power line. Falaza, good morning.
Good morning. How are you, Aaron?
Good, Falaza.
Mzwanele, how are you?
Hey, good on you, Baba.
No, look, man. Aaron, I think I fully concur with Mzwanele there. The reasons that he has advanced thus far, that warrant the call for the motion, I think he is spot on. And also, I think, Mzwanele, Mafina, for me, he is just being partisan. He knows that he does not believe in what he's saying. He is just trying to send the message that he is principled. He's not principled himself.
Okay, fellas, unfortunately we've run out of time. Mr. Manyi, just quickly, closing remarks, and also whether indeed the ATM will be heading to the courts to overturn this decision by the Speaker.
Yeah, thank you very much. No, indeed, yes. The reason the President of the ATM could not do this interview is because they're finalizing the papers. We will definitely be serving them today. It's unlikely that there's going to be any voting tomorrow if the Speaker insists on having a sham of an open ballot. But if she comes to her senses and agrees, then we will have a proper, disciplined secret ballot voting tomorrow.
Okay, unfortunately we've run out of time. Mzwanele Manyi, the ATM Head of Policy and Strategy. Dear shareholder, from me, Aldrin Sinclair, and the Power Talk team.
Hello, Mr. Manyi.
Hi there.
Thank you very much for making time to speak to us.
You are welcome. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.